Sometimes, as women, you give so much to everyone around you that you forget the most important person to invest in is you. And when you start to focus on yourself, you'll notice your confidence shifts, your standards rise, and even your faith deepens. Because respecting yourself is not selfish, it's sacred. It's a reflection of knowing your worth and living like it matters. When you focus on yourself, you stop begging for love, attention, or validation because you start to recognize that all of those things already exist within you and you're capable of creating them without having to depend on anyone else. You begin to see that the more you chase approval from others, the more powerless you feel. And the moment you shift that energy inward, everything changes. You realize that your value was never meant to be proven by someone else's acceptance. It was meant to be lived out by the way you carry yourself and the way you show up every single day. You start to wake up with a sense of purpose that isn't tied to who texts you back or who notices you at work or who compliments your appearance, but instead it's tied to the way you feel about the progress you're making, the goals you're setting, and the way you honor yourself in every decision. There's something magnetic about a woman who no longer chases, because when you no longer chase, you give yourself permission to receive from a place of strength and not desperation. You don't have to raise your voice or fight for space in someone else's life, because your presence speaks for itself. The way you walk into a room with certainty, the way you speak without shrinking, the way you stand tall, even when life feels heavy, that is what makes people notice you, not because you demanded attention, but because you became undeniable. And people can feel that shift. They can feel when someone has stopped looking outward for approval and has built an inner foundation that cannot be shaken. Focusing on yourself doesn't mean isolating or cutting off love. It means realizing that your happiness doesn't live in someone else's hands. It lives in yours. It means understanding that peace doesn't come when everyone finally treats you right. Peace comes when you treat yourself right first. It's in the quiet moments when you choose to rest instead of overextending. It's in the way you set your standards and refuse to lower them just to be chosen. It's in the discipline of saying, I am enough as I am, and I don't need to prove my worth to be loved, respected, or accepted. When you reach that point, you start to glow differently, and that glow is not about makeup or clothes or compliments. It's about the light that comes from self-respect. It's the calm in your voice when you're no longer afraid to lose what isn't meant for you. It's the confidence in your decisions when you know your boundaries are protecting your peace. It's the way your energy fills a space because you're not trying to be anyone else. You're fully at home in yourself. People can't help but respect that because deep down, everyone wants to feel that kind of wholeness. And when they see it in you, they admire it even if they don't say it out loud. The most powerful thing about focusing on yourself is that it shifts every relationship in your life. When you stop begging for validation, you stop tolerating people who give you the bare minimum. You no longer feel flattered by crumbs because you know you deserve the feast. You no longer stay in places that drain you because you realize you're allowed to walk away. You stop explaining why you deserve better, and you start simply living like you do, and it sets a new tone. People rise to meet your standards or they fall away. And either way you win because you're no longer controlled by fear of losing someone. You're anchored in the truth that you can never lose yourself. This is why people begin to treat you differently. They sense that you respect yourself. They sense that you no longer need their approval to validate your existence. And ironically, that makes them give you even more respect because confidence commands attention without having to ask for it. You don't have to try so hard to be seen. You already are, and the strength of your presence becomes louder than any words ever could when you focus on yourself. You rewrite the story of your life from one of seeking to one of becoming. And in that process, you find a power that no one can take from you. Respecting yourself means setting boundaries, saying no without guilt, and choosing peace over chaos, because the way you treat yourself teaches the world how to treat you. When you finally decide that your well-being matters as much as anyone else's, that decision shifts everything. You stop living in constant exhaustion from trying to please everyone, and you start building a life that honors your energy, your time, and your heart. Boundaries are not walls that keep people out. They are doors that only allow in what aligns with your values and what protects your peace. And when you realize that, you begin to live from a place of strength instead of constant sacrifice. There's a quiet power in the word no, a power that most people overlook because they've been trained to believe that saying no makes you selfish or cold. But the truth is that no is a sentence that protects your sanity and reminds you that you're not required to stretch yourself thin just to be worthy of love. When you respect yourself enough to say no to things that drain you, you are actually saying yes to the things that sustain you. Yes to rest, yes to joy, yes to growth, yes to the relationships that actually pour back into you instead of always taking from you. That shift changes not just how you feel about yourself, but how everyone else interacts with you. Because when you start saying no without guilt, you teach others that you will no longer accept being taken for granted. Choosing peace over chaos becomes a discipline that transforms your daily life because you realize you have the right to step away from toxic conversations, unnecessary drama, and people who thrive on negativity. You no longer feel obligated to sit at tables where your presence is not valued or to keep connections that cost you your peace. Respect for yourself looks like protecting your mental space the same way you would protect your home from an intruder. It means no longer apologizing for choosing quiet over conflict, healing over chaos, and solitude over noise. And what happens is that people who thrive on taking advantage of your kindness suddenly find they can no longer control you because you've placed a boundary that says my peace is non-negotiable. The way you treat yourself becomes the blueprint for how others will treat you. When you consistently respect your own time by not overcommitting, others will start respecting your time too. When you consistently speak kindly to yourself and refuse to accept insults disguised as jokes, others learn quickly that disrespect has no place in your presence. When you hold yourself with dignity and honor your own boundaries, it sets a silent standard that demands people either step up or step out, and you don't even have to explain it because your actions speak louder than your words ever could. This kind of self-respect creates a ripple effect in every part of your life. Your friendships become healthier because you no longer tolerate one-sided relationships. Your work life improves because you stop allowing yourself to be undervalued. Your family dynamics shift because you refuse to keep repeating patterns that keep you small. Even your relationship with yourself deepens because each time you honor your boundaries, you're reminding yourself that you matter, that your feelings are valid, and that you deserve to live a life filled with peace, not constant pressure. Many people struggle with boundaries because they fear rejection or losing love, but the truth is, if someone can only love you when you abandon yourself, that isn't love, that's control. And when you finally respect yourself enough to stop abandoning yourself, you open the door to genuine connections that see your value and honor it without conditions. Respect becomes the filter through which everything passes, and it creates a freedom you never knew you could have because you're no longer living for approval. You're living for alignment, and alignment always brings peace. A woman who invests in her growth, her health, and her dreams shows that she knows she's valuable. And when you honor your own value, you attract relationships and opportunities that honor it too, because people can see when you are committed to becoming the best version of yourself. It shows in the way you carry yourself, in the way you speak, in the way you walk into a room with confidence that doesn't need validation. You begin to live with a sense of purpose that becomes magnetic because growth changes your perspective and health strengthens your presence, and dreams give you a direction that pulls you forward no matter what challenges come your way. When you pour into your growth, you are telling yourself that you are not finished, that you refuse to settle for who you were yesterday, and that you believe your future deserves your effort. Whether it's reading more, learning new skills, expanding your knowledge, or surrounding yourself with people who challenge you To rise higher every step you take towards growth adds another layer of strength to who you are. You begin to shine differently because you are not stagnant. You are not waiting to be saved. You are actively building yourself into a woman of depth and resilience, and people notice that energy without you even having to speak. Investing in your health is another way of declaring your worth, because when you care for your body, you are sending a message that you are worthy of strength, vitality, and longevity. It's not just about looking a certain way. It's about having the energy to chase your goals, the clarity to make strong decisions, and the discipline to protect the vessel that carries your dreams. Respecting your health shows discipline and self-love, and that in itself makes people take you seriously, because a woman who takes care of herself radiates a different kind of confidence. She is not depending on others to tell her she is beautiful or valuable. She is living proof that her well-being is her priority. And then there are your dreams, the parts of you that make life exciting and meaningful. When you invest in your dreams, you're showing the world that you believe in your own vision. You're telling yourself that your desires matter and that your potential is too important to leave unexplored. People are drawn to women who chase their dreams because it shows courage, and courage is rare. It shows that you are not living just to exist. You are living to create, to build, to achieve something that reflects the fire inside of you. And when you honor those dreams with your actions, you set yourself apart from those who only talk about what they want, but never take steps towards it. When you bring together growth, health, and dreams, you create a combination that makes you unshakable. And it doesn't just transform you, it transforms the way others treat you, because people treat you according to the standards you set for yourself. When you hold yourself with value, others recognize that they cannot approach you carelessly, they cannot give you half effort, they cannot dismiss you, because your life is evidence that you won't settle for less than respect and alignment. Opportunities come your way because people want to work with someone who is committed, disciplined, and passionate. Relationships become healthier because you attract people who are inspired by your strength, not intimidated by it, and every part of your life elevates because you chose to invest in yourself first. This is the beauty of honoring your value. It creates a mirror for the world to reflect back to you when you honor your own time. Others will honor it when you honor your health. Others will respect it when you honor your dreams. The right people will support them, and the wrong ones will fall away without you even having to force it. Your self-respect becomes the foundation that shapes everything you experience, because the effort you put into yourself cannot go unnoticed. It radiates from the inside out and creates a life that is built on strength, alignment, and unshakable confidence. Even in faith, there's power in self-respect, because when you refuse to settle for less than what's right, you align yourself with what's true, and God Himself honors that strength in you many times. People think faith only looks like sacrifice or always giving without boundaries, but faith also looks like knowing that you are created with worth, and that worth is not negotiable. It was placed in you by design. And when you live in a way that honors that worth, you are not only respecting yourself, you are honoring the one who created you. There is a strength in realizing that saying no to less than you deserve is not pride. It's stewardship over the life and purpose you've been given. A woman who respects herself in her faith understands that she does not need to shrink or bend to fit into spaces that dishonor her. She knows that being humble does not mean allowing others to walk over her. It means knowing her value and still carrying it with grace. She knows that forgiveness does not mean tolerating mistreatment. It means releasing bitterness while still setting firm boundaries. And she knows that love does not mean lowering her standards. It means being willing to give from a place of fullness, not emptiness. This alignment with truth allows her to live a life that reflects both strength and gentleness, both conviction and compassion, and people can feel that balance in the way she moves through the world. When you hold to self-respect in faith, you also protect your spirit from compromise because settling for what is wrong chips away at your peace. It leaves you feeling disconnected from the life you were meant to live, but standing firm in your standards brings clarity and confidence because you know you are walking in alignment with something greater than yourself. You are not just making choices based on fear or loneliness. You are making them based on truth and trust that the right things will align with you. When you honor yourself in this way, you begin to see how even your faith strengthens because you start to believe not only in God, but also in the worth He placed in you. This kind of respect creates a different posture in how you carry yourself. You no longer beg for love because you know love cannot be begged for. It has to be freely given you. No longer cling to relationships that do not honor you because you know that if something requires you to abandon your dignity, it is not truly a blessing. You no longer feel the need to prove your value because your life already reflects it in the way you speak, the way you live, and the choices you make. There is a steadiness that comes with this understanding, a quiet confidence that does not need to shout or force because it knows it is backed by truth. When others see a woman who respects herself in this way, they can feel the difference. They see that she is not moved by pressure. She is not desperate for approval, and she is not shaken by rejection because her confidence is rooted in something deeper than circumstance. And even when challenges come, she stands firm. Not because life is easy, but because she refuses to abandon herself in the process. That kind of strength is rare, and it draws the right people towards her because respect is magnetic and it teaches others how to approach her. The alignment between self-respect and faith becomes a testimony without words. It shows that honoring yourself is not separate from honoring God. It is actually connected because to respect yourself is to respect the life you were entrusted with every time you choose dignity over desperation, every time you choose truth over convenience. Every time you choose patience over settling, you are living proof that your faith is not just belief, it is action. It is the way you protect your peace, the way you carry your standards, the way you live out the value that was placed in you from the very beginning. And it is in those choices that you find both strength and honor. Focusing on yourself is not about shutting people out. It's about building yourself up so strong that anyone who comes into your life has to rise to your level, not pull you down to theirs. Because when you learn to pour into yourself, you stop attracting relationships that drain you and start attracting ones that match the energy you've created within you when you invest in your mind, your spirit, your growth, and your peace. You create a standard that is unshakable and people feel it without you needing to say a word. Your presence begins to communicate your value before you even open your mouth. And that is what makes others treat you with the respect you already give yourself. It is easy to think that focusing on yourself means being selfish, but the truth is, it's the opposite. It's about giving the world the best version of you instead of the leftover version that comes from constant sacrifice and neglect. When you make time to build yourself up, you have more to give, not less. Your energy becomes lighter. Your joy becomes stronger. Your presence becomes more impactful because you are not pouring from an empty cup anymore. You are overflowing, and that overflow naturally lifts the people around you without you having to lose yourself in the process. When you stand firm in who you are and continue to grow, you create an invisible boundary that repels anything that is not aligned with your best self. You stop tolerating disrespect. You stop engaging in chaos. You stop entertaining half-hearted connections because your life is proof that you deserve more. And when people see that, they either rise to meet you at your level or they quietly exit your life. And either outcome is a victory because you are no longer sacrificing your peace just to keep people close. There is a kind of strength that comes from knowing you are your own foundation. You are not waiting for someone to save you or complete you because you've already learned how to complete yourself. You've already built a life filled with meaning, goals, and joy that doesn't depend on anyone else. And that strength is magnetic. People admire it even if they don't say it out loud, because deep down, everyone longs to feel that kind of security. And when you carry it within yourself, you automatically inspire others to rise higher too. Focusing on yourself also allows you to be more discerning about who gets access to you. Because when you know your worth, you don't just hand it out carelessly. You begin to recognize who adds to your life and who only takes away. You see the difference between those who support your growth and those who fear it. You feel the contrast between those who genuinely celebrate you and those who secretly compete with you. And when you are strong within yourself, you choose wisely without guilt, because your peace matters too much to be compromised. The beauty of this focus is that it creates relationships and opportunities that are built on alignment instead of desperation. Because when you no longer need someone to fill your emptiness, you attract people who are whole in themselves and willing to grow with you. Instead of pulling you down, they push you forward. Instead of draining you, they pour into you. Instead of competing, they celebrate you. And that kind of connection is only possible when you've done the work of building yourself first. This kind of strength doesn't make you hard. It makes you grounded. It doesn't make you unapproachable. It makes you clear. It doesn't make you cold. It makes you consistent. And the right people will always recognize the difference, because they see that you are someone who has taken the time to respect herself enough to rise to a higher standard, and that standard will never be lowered to make others comfortable. Instead, it will inspire those who enter your life to rise higher with you and meet you where you stand.